So I actually had the pleasure of meeting two strangers and talking for 10 minutes on two separate days. One day in my new venture and creation class, we got a new professor and he wanted us to meet a new student and talk for 10 minutes. And I was like, oh, perfect, two birds, one stone. And so I met this guy, and he was really cool. His name was Eureka, and it was spelled Y-U-R-K-A, or Y-U-R-I-K-A. And I think that was really, really cool, like, really interesting way to spell it, and, like, what a way to have a child and just be like, Eureka, a child! I thought that was beautiful. And his parents are really creative, and we talked about that for a little while. And then he started asking about me, and I told him about myself, and he asked what I wanted to do with my English major, and I told him that I'm an author, and I plan on publishing a novel soon, well, like in the next year, probably. And we started talking about him and how he's a huge entrepreneur, how he can never be, like, he realized he could never work for somebody because he always, the second he gets into a job, he wants to make everything better, and he has so many ideas, and he's like, why are we doing this way? We can do it this way instead, and it's more efficient, and he just always wants to make his way to the top, and I thought that was really interesting. And he talked about how he's an amazing presenter, and he just really wants to own his own company, or multiple companies, and his passion is actually wine, and I thought that was really cool. And he was talking about all these different types of wine and all the flavors and what you can do, and it was really interesting. I just recently started to like wine. Well, not to like wine, but to like wine, and it was nice. I told him I like sweet red wines and white wines. And he was asking me some questions, and he was like, how did you, like, decide, like, where did you start drinking wine? And I was like, oh, with my friends. And he was like, oh, so it was, like, a social thing. And then he was pretty much, like, analyzing, like, my way of drinking wine. And I think it was, or my way, like, how I discovered wine and, like, what wines that I like. And I think that was actually him, like, trying to gather data, like, for his business, and I thought that was really cool, because he was like, oh, like, what kind of desserts do you like? Have you ever taken one of those online wine quizzes? And I was like, yes, I actually have, and they suggested these wines, and, like, we just went back and forth with that, and that was really cool. He was really energetic and bubbly, and it kind of, like, bounced off of my energy and bubbliness, so it was a really exciting conversation. And that was cool. And then we had to, like, present each other. And at the end, because I had to be like, oh, this is Eureka, and he's into wine and all that. And he was like, this is Adriana, and she's a writer. And at the end, he was like, and I'm pretty sure she listened to a Beyonce song one time. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he did too. We bonded over that. And it was, like, completely on the spot and spontaneous, and I loved that. So it was really fun. So it was really nice meeting him. And hopefully we can, work together in class. But then the next day, yesterday, I met Alexa. She is actually my coworker now in the Request Center, and we had to meet because she was going to train me on, like, requesting, but she ended up, like, telling me everything I had to do in the first, like, 5 minutes because I kind of knew the gist of it, and then she just reviewed some stuff. And I had been talking with Kathleen earlier about it. So yeah, then we just started talking because there was nobody in the center requesting at the time. And then we got onto the topic of accidents, because she said she had just gotten into a car accident the other day in her neighborhood. And I like freaked out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got into a moped accident, but it was also in my neighborhood. And then we started talking about how the majority of accidents are actually, like, 10 minutes from where you live, like, in that, like, area, in that radius. And then I told her about my knee surgery, and everything that happened, and she told me about a surgery that she had had, and it was fun. She was really nice, also very cute and bubbly, and then it was like a nice light conversation, but we like bonded over like the similarities that we had, and yeah, and then I think that was it. We were just like talking for a while about different things that we liked. I don't remember a lot, but I remember it was nice, and we mainly talked about like similarities and connections that we've had before. I think that has like a lot to do with conversations, especially with strangers. You try to see like what you have in common with them, so you can have like a nice conversation that goes smoothly, because like, oh, I like this, oh, I like this, and then you build off of it, because in both conversations we found something that we had in common, and then we just kept going for it. We just kept digging into the conversation and building off of it and learning new things about each other, and I think that's pretty cool. I like learning about people, and both of the people I talked to were extremely nice and good connections for the future. So this was fun. Yeah.